majikan anikan akin yun me aljahu gonja dave amayala tare akan dorkon me on kakingan manjinga molan nadang rasko jakong rasko honeng rasto sen manaya欢迎我们啊！欢迎你们到我们这个地方来。
Maria So, the very last member of the historical reindeer herders of China, is 82 years old. Maria So is also the last Awenki, as the name of this minority of China means people coming out of the forest. She is the only remaining person who can literally be called a forest person, who feels most at home living in a tent. The few others who occasionally come up the mountains are compelled to do so in order to keep an eye on their fortune, the reindeer herds living among the remaining forests of the Hing'an Mountains. These reindeer, long ago domesticated from caribous in the wild, used to move around as pack animals. When the Awenki nomadic hunters moved camp in search of new hunting grounds. Today, the herds roam the forest freely in the winter and are rounded up with much difficulties during the spring. Most families have a dozen or two of these reindeers. Maria So has over 300. Part of the largest herd of a total of maybe 800 reindeer remaining in China today. Maria So must be in a good mood. Her son Hershey rarely sees her singing. She sings one song after another, maybe 4 or 5 songs before taking a rest. Otherwise, she's always quiet and with few words. I knew that her husband, Lajimi, who passed away in 1996, used to play the Jew's harp. Maria So brought out a Jew's harp from behind her bed in a small tin can and began playing. The rhythm was again heavenly, with a beat that urges the heart to strum along. I felt most fortunate to be entertained by an old woman who is famous of being very caustic. She's known to drive away reporters and visitors who flock to her distant abode, seeking to interview her or have a glimpse of this last relic of the Awenki reindeer herder. But our friendship went back a long way, almost 30 years, when I came as a young journalist for the National Geographic in the winter of 1983. At that time, Maria So was barely into her 50s. I came again in 1988, mainly to put Maria So's husband Lajimi on film, preparing many unique artifacts and daily utensils of the Awenki people. We also documented on video a futile hunting trip we embarked upon in the snow. Maria So was the person who prepared all our gear for that outing: bread, cake and all. She put the reins on our reindeer caravan and saddled them with carrying sacks. On that same trip, I filmed an interview with Niu Na, the very last shaman of the Awenki. Now, all these people are part of history, having passed away many years ago. In all, CERS now has 10 videotapes of 20 minutes each, documenting the last vestiges of a culture, lifestyle, and tradition that have now been gone forever, carried away by the bitter cold wind of the Hing'an Mountains. Perhaps that was why Maria So felt so happy on this day. After I showed her on my iPad the films on Lachimi and a few other old acquaintances who are now only a shadow in her distant memories. She looked most intently and listened attentively, asking to have the volume turned up when Lachimi started playing the Jew's harp. Unfortunately, the song was only like a whisper into her fast-failing years. This is how they're living now, the younger generation of the Awenki reindeer herders. He doesn't have time for us. It's fully understandable that they rather lead a more modern lifestyle, just like any young people all over the world. So I don't think it's their fault at all. That's why I was hoping that in the future, traditions are not passed down from father to son, but from grandparents to grandchildren. It may not even work like that. Ganhe is where the government has relocated all the descendants of the former Awenki reindeer herders. Today, they may number 200 individuals, living in a posh two-story wooden lodges. Maria So's second daughter, Dekesha, with curly permed hair, is now dressed in a modern down coat with high leather boots. I left them a USB of raw footage with 10 films, much of which featured her father, Lachimi. And of course, some photo of her teenage years. Her brother, He Xie, 46 years old, is perpetually drunk or halfway to being there. He was with us earlier at camp with Maria So, but decided to come home for a break. He used to be a sharpshooter like his father, carrying his semi-automatic with pride. A once proud and free-spirited person is now dependent on a different spirit, that of alcohol, to fill that vacuum inside. Material wealth and cosmetic fortune simply cannot replace cultural and traditional heritage. Back at camp when we are ready to leave, Maria So went out into the snow and chose from off a wooden shelf something I wanted to take home. Missing in the CRS collection was a set of reindeer saddle blanket and saddlebags with frames made from birch bark and lined outside with moose skin. She has 4 sets remaining and decided to pick the very best for me. Though worn from use, the set is now for CERS, as well as for future generations, a priceless piece. Maria So's parting song to us was even more priceless. The song was created by her at that very moment. Such impromptu romanticism brought the most warming smile to our faces, even during such a brutal and cold winter.
Takajang asnak nurul Mataraka hendok tilasil Gujayel nakni kucur Mataraka henku kaki karagon mga telgon jenguk
Spring will return in a few months to the Heng'an Mountains. Trees will bear green again and flowers will blossom. But with the Owenki and their culture, it is withering into a long winter where spring will never come again.